Check your bulk.
Same place it always is. Bobby and Lynn are in the back.
About 4 lands and 8 of the cards that were with her.
Right. At what point does it go from upgraded precon when you sit down at the table to, whatever way you describe it, independent or have left it? Is it 10 cards? Is it $50? Is it a card that they won't ever reprint?
I think that line is defined. It can be defined quite differently. Me, on a personal level, I defined that line when I put in a $35 Archangel of Thune into the deck, and for a couple of reasons. The first being, I don't think that's a card they would ever put in a precon for reasons of market value and for power level. And so when you have a $30 single that Wizards, this is an objective assumption, a subjective assumption, but if you include a $30 banger single of a card that they wouldn't put in a precon, I think that's the line for me. That's when I'm like, are you upgrading precon, or are you just making yourself a new deck here?
Sure.
A Vampiric Tutor, we're not going to see a Vampiric Tutor in a pre-constructed deck. In my opinion, I think we will never see it. But if you put a Vampiric Tutor in your Will Health deck, I feel like just take the extra steps and make yourself a new Will Health deck, because doesn't feel like a precon upgrade.
Sure. Right. Of course, people kind of cite the history of it. It's like, well, I started with the precon.
Right.
But all the content that I see, at least from individuals, is like before a precon, it's even in people's hands. There are content creators already releasing these videos on how to upgrade it. All of them. There's all that content. And I remember when I didn't know about all these commander cards, I didn't know all these magic cards, I watched some of those videos because it helped me learn about those cards and come to understand some evaluation of them. Mm-hmm. But I realize nowadays I don't watch those because I'm not interested in knowing what those cards are. But why do people want to upgrade them right away? What is it about it that's why isn't it enough out of the box? And is it the meta that people are playing in? Why is it is it part-time hobbyist? Is it hacker? What do people get out of it?
Hard to, so my example is always what do I get out of it as a cracker of precons? And my most premium precon cracked examples have been precons that had a new legendary in it that synchronized with a few of the cards perfectly in the deck, and also synchronized with something that as a player I've been trying to do for years that is doing the thing that I've been trying to do better, just objectively better.
Right. And they've designed the decks, of course, that you're going to... They've designed the decks that you are going to buy because they want you to also buy them for those minerals, those new staples that you're talking about. The cost of the precon's $35, the card's about $20. Do I want 99 other pieces of cardboard that go along with it? Probably, because you feel like you have to buy it if you want to play any of those. Yeah. Right, it makes sense. You don't want to miss out on some of those play experiences. I wonder about those because they seem to change the play experience, right? New cards are the other way to chase new experiences. So new cards from precons, of course, being consumed or used makes sense. I was just interested when people are upgrading it. And what was interesting about it is that people are providing these upgrade guides or these upgrade experiences, but they never expressed how the original deck played. Right, there was a human or humans that put together, the deck, and whoever they are, thank you for those. Right, they built them. They were the author of that deck per se, and then people are just opening up the decks, ripping them apart, and just putting whatever to be oh, this is great what you put here, but this is garbage. Just tearing apart someone's work.
I like to imagine a piñata. I'm bashing it with a stick. Give me the goodies. Right. Give me the goodies.
Raining Jessica's wills
Black
on
market
you.
Connections.
Yeah, black market. Come on, black market connection. I'm going to smack this piñata till you come out.
just beating it, just smashing that. Apparently, Dockside Extortionist was in a precon to smash that Dockside out of there. Uh.
Archangel of Thune? No, it wouldn't be in there. It wouldn't be in there.
They'll never put that in there.
Mm-mm.
Hopefully, maybe one day we'll be bashing a precon trying to smash the Esper Sentinels out.
I think so. I think we should be able to. You're using him to crack out your other decks. I mean, it seems like we have to. There's all these included beautiful, powerful cards in them. And I know they have been trying to solve the length of Commander games, it seems like, by upping the power of those cards. Cards made for Commander have had a dramatic effect on the gameplay. And it has sped up the game, or at least created more power in the game, which was harder to do before. You had these effects that were just, 1/3 of as effective in a 4-player game, and so it's been interesting seeing the design and the choices and what those are. I have that $50 deck that is Rilsa Rail Kingpin that is mostly compatible to play against a lot of other powerful decks that are these upgraded precons. And the reason for it is it's got a lot of removal and it's filled with cards that are from the last 2 years, I'd say. So it goes back to like Kaldheim, and the majority of the cards are Kaldheim forward, using a lot of the precon, a lot of the latest precons for rogues. And just rogues have gotten a lot of love thanks to Dungeons and Dragons, and particularly Commander Legends Baldur's Gate. So rogues, it's a great deck because of initiative, and it has a lot of power because it's all these new cards.
That deck makes me sweat. And yeah, that's the secrets of power level. Just keep it Kaldheim forward and you'll be cracked by default.
What do you think? So how do you feel about these new precons? These latest precons? Warhammer
$20?
The Jahadas. Oh, I don't know about I've not seen a deck list for the $20 ones, but I'd be interested. But what do you think about our precons, these new precons you've been opening up compared to other precons, past precons?
Perhaps maybe it's been like Strixhaven forward, that the precons have been designed in such a way that they, out of the box, are great experiences that should be experienced before you destroy them of their precious minerals. The Warhammer in particular, I recommend people, if possible, play with a pod, because I think they are the best precons the Wizards has ever made. And I think that's, in retrospect, like, of course they are. They're trying to get an entire franchise of nerds into Magic. So they want them to feel powerful. And how more do you make those players feel powerful than give them powerful, sweet Commander-specific cards? But it's been hard for me to see that as a bad thing, because I've been enjoying the precons quite thoroughly. I've upgraded Magus Lucia Kane into the Hydra Drek of my dreams that I've been trying to create the past several years. So I feel very positively about them. I think there is a new floor that players are coming into. I think this is kind of the new floor, and this new floor feels like what mid-power used to be, if that makes sense. And I think that's all right. And I do think that's all right because it harkens back to one of the bigger kind of problems with Commander in general, is that people see it as a slugfest, and these decks can become slugfest, but there's also designed in them ways to absolutely destroy your opponents and end the game. And I think that's great. I think they're beautiful.
Yeah. I got to watch some gameplay. I helped record some gameplay of you, Janelle St. Cruz, Ron, and Autumn. You get to see some people make some fun butt jokes and get to see some of the new cards that are played and enjoy some of that Warhammer 40K gameplay. I think they are the new floor. I think going forward, it is going to set a precedent. I know I've heard a few people on Twitter saying the same thing. Where do they go from here with the precons? Are they going to accept anything less? I think they're going to do whatever they do. I think the next precons are, of course, will be judged against those ones, but I don't think that's important. To me personally, like, I'm not going to look down on the next precon. I don't see them as a series of products and then the future is going to judge against those other ones. The other ones are going to have particular cards. Someone will say, oh, they're not as good as the Warhammer ones. And then someone will be like, actually, it had 2 great cards that let me play this deck style that I never got to play before. So thus it was a great precon. You getting the Tyrannid, the new leader for your from the Tyranids, getting that card from the Tyranids and putting it in your deck. Of course, it makes your Hydra deck better. I think it gives you mana and duplicates your Hydras. I mean, that's how they solved the problem with dragons. They gave you Miram, and it just dupes every dragon, and you win the game because you're double dragon.
It's a circus of value.
Exactly. My decks finally showed up. I thought I wasn't going to be able to get to play some of this Warhammer 40k goodness. I was feeling the FOMO, obviously, with the experience. And there's a few other little fun cards in the set. So looking at cards, there's a lot of great cards, but looking at the cards that might be more accessible in terms of finances, it seems like, if we keep it under $1 and we're looking for something to, maybe over time this will change. But right now I was thinking Prismaris Eliminator for black. It's a Astartes Warrior, 3/2. It has when Prismari Eliminator enters the battlefield, choose one. Executioner round, destroy target creature, or Hyper Fang round. Creatures target player controls get -2/-2 until end of turn. This card does. So this card costs one more than a Chupacabra. I oftentimes, when I'm looking for a body in a deck that's black and I'm milling and I'm looking for more bodies in the graveyard, a Chupacabra is a wonderful choice at 4 mana. This is at 5. And then it has the alternate ability of really going for that token kill. When I'm wanting to squash a lot
bunnies!
Yeah, the bunnies need to go. The cool part, too, is that it's like creatures target player controls get -2/-2. I'm finding that sometimes when I'm playing like a deal 1 damage to all creatures on the battlefield, do a -1, -1, -2 to all the players' creatures, or all my opponents, is that it sometimes creates a problem. It creates too much of an imbalance in the game. So it's nice in this case, it says creatures target player controls. And I like that it's actually it's limited to that versus like having set it to like all opponents' creatures get -2/-2.
I feel like some people would like objectively think that making it do -2/-2 to each creature all opponents control would be like objectively better. But I think with the way Commander is politically, I think it's stronger that it's only target player. My bulk pick from the 40k Precon is a card that I've been loving, that I know you've been loving. Karn the Betrayer into my Godzilla deck. He's a 4 mana, 5/1 Astartes Berserker. He attacks or blocks each combat if able. When you lose control of Karn, you draw 2 cards. And if damage would be dealt to Karn, prevent that damage and give an opponent Karn. So Karn never dies, and he always draws, and he always smacks, and he's perfect for a high power, just get the game moving, let's bash each other in the face kind of gameplay.
Right. Yeah, I'm absolutely loving the card. Karn the Betrayer reminds me a lot of like Humble Defector, but mixed with Toski in an assault suit on a Friday night.
Toski's lived a life, and now he's polyamorous and raging.
One of the cards that really excited me in that sort of giving and sharing aspect was the Cybernetica Datasmith, 1 blue-black, Human Artificer, 0/1, Protection from Robots, which robot is a new creature type that's just shown up all of a sudden. Yep. Field Reprogramming, blue tap, target player draws a card. Another target player creates a 4/4 colorless robot artifact creature token with this creature can't block. So the robot can't block. And it just says target player and other target player, like another target player. So it's somebody gets a card, somebody gets a 4/4 robot. I saw this in action and it's pretty cool. It means that you could get a card and give a 4/4 robot out and give a robot out to another player and then give a robot out to another player. And so you've drawn 3 cards and then given them 4/4 robots. And as long as you have your who can't block, and the Cybernetica Datasmith has protection from robots. So as long as you keep that Cybernetica Datasmith up, then you can block at least one of them, right, per turn. So it feels kind of good. It feels like I get 3 cards slowly out of this. You all get some arms in which to, I arm you to fight other players. And I like the idea of it. And there's no stopping you from, as we've talked about, sometimes the best chance of me turning the tide in this game is by giving some force to a friend, which was previously target opponent is all of a sudden target player. So Cybernetica Datasmith feels fun, and that fun for the whole family.
It is fun for the whole family. I love it. I'm a little heartbroken it's not a legendary creature, because this is what I want to do. This feels like Demir Glunch, and I'm trying to spread love to the whole family like that. I've got my Gormoldrak deck, but I, as a person, I think I just like robots more than salamanders. That's just me, though. I want to share those little bodies, though. I love it. I think it'd be wonderful in the command zone. I'm gonna break the rules. I'm breaking the rules. It's my commander now.
You should.
All right. This pick that I am very, very excited about, it is called the Great Butthole. Oh, I'm sorry. It is called the Great Unclean One.
Ooh, the Butthole Demon? The Butthole Demon's here. I love
Butthole Demon. I feel like the Great Unclean One would 100% take that as a fabulous compliment. This is a 5 mana 4/5 demon. Ability, at the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses 2 life. Already a banger. You don't have to wait. It's going to happen the turn he comes out. You're going to hurt everybody. That's 5 mana for 6 damage. At least. I'm already here for it. Then, for each opponent who has less life than you, create a 1/3 black demon creature named Plague Barrel of Nurgle. So if you're just rewarded for lowering life totals, you're so rewarded. Not only does the card lower the life totals, you're then rewarded for the work that you have already done, lowering the life totals. He's a butthole. He's got the slime. He's got the sludge. He's got the goods. Grab this card. It's currently under $2.
Yeah, I am excited about it. It does. I've been affectionately calling the Butthole Demon. And the great unclean one, and I absolutely love the card for what you said. The exact thing is that the great unclean one feels like a great way to continue to lower life totals. It rewards you if you have a life gain deck, because I've got this Raphael Fiendish Savior deck, and the great unclean one made its way into that deck because it's a demon and it makes those demons. And if I'm making quite a bit of life, I'm usually over other people's life totals. Brilliant. And then hopefully I can sacrifice those demons. But it makes a lot of demons.
My final bulk pick from the 40k precons that I've been enjoying quite a bit. This one also is under $1. This is from the card is Chaos Terminator Lord. I went ahead and put this buddy in my Godzilla deck also. 4 mana for a 3/3 Astartes Warrior. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains double strike until end of turn.
You love that double strike.
Wait. I like the word double. I like to pronounce it double sometimes.
So at this point, have you counted the number of double strikes in that deck? Is this legal? How legal is it? Like, are you doing math on this? Because essentially, if you're doubling the double, the double, the double. I mean, it's going to get pretty high there, right? If you're doubling the double and you double the double.
This thing made the cut. My Godzilla list is pretty tight, but this 50-cent card made the cut because there are so very few cards that grant double strike repeatedly on a stick. He's Xenagos' best buddy, you know? Xenagos has some buddies. Xenagos has friends, and they also like at the beginning of combat, and they go well together.
They sure do.
Bring the chaos!
So speaking of the chaos, I mean, you're talking about other formats. You want to get wild and crazy with different ways to play Magic. Where does it stop, Bobby Christine? At what point are you not playing Commander? Right?
I'm getting weird.
At what point have you perverted the rules of Commander so much that it's no longer Commander? I mean, it sounds like the rules committee rejects you the moment you leave any boundary of Commander. You've broken the rules.
You're not playing Commander anymore.
Right? Where do you draw that line? When are you still playing Commander, and when are you in some other delicious sub format? Check Your Bulk is a Bobby Christine and Lynn Frank production, where we share a few of our favorite picks and laughs. Find Bobby Christine on Twitter and Twitch at BOBBIECHRISTXNE. Find Lynn Frank on Twitter at LYNNVFRANK. Thank you for listening to Check Your Bulk.